Welcome back to the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike and I got Matt with me. And today we're going to go over our last Twitter space, and we're going to go over the NHL Central Division, our predictions for the Central Division. So what we've been doing the past few weeks is a Twitter space where we kind of get on and talk to, other Blackhawks fans and, just kind of shoot the shit in a way. This past week, we went over if Jeremy Roenick should be a Hall of Famer. I absolutely think that he should be. I think that he has the stats for it. And to be honest with you, if Eric Lindros is in the Hall of Fame, I don't know why Jeremy Roenick is in the Hall of Fame. Where are you at with that, Matt?
Yeah, it's well said. I completely agree. Like the recent guys that just got in, like Paul Kariya a couple years ago, Roenick's numbers are way better than his.
Right.
They don't have Stanley Cups. Eric Lindros, like you said, was a force when he played. Still, Roenick's got better numbers and more games played because he wasn't as injured, and I think Lindros had some head issues. Marty St. Louis, very beloved. He's beloved around the whole league, the hockey world, but sorry, Roenick still has better numbers. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. I hate to, bring a different sport up into this, but it kind of reminds me of like Ron Santo with the Cubs. I watched a thing on him the other day, and his dream was to be a Hall of Famer, and then they kept showing the clips of him like doing his little the heel taps, that's just, and they're like, oh, he's showboating, and you know what, I thought of Roenick because he's kind of outspoken and he'll tell it like it is, and he's goofy at times. He says stuff that he probably shouldn't, but he's still a cool dude, and he's really good to the fans and everything. But I just see a lot of similarities with that, and I think that's what's kind of holding him back right now with the who's ever determining who's on the next Hall of Fame class. He just keeps getting passed up, and I fear it's kind of like a Santo thing, and maybe. I know Roenick's still young, but Santo was, he was on his last couple of years, and the poor guy couldn't even see himself getting into the Hall of Fame. I believe he died before, and
yeah, he did.
You hate to see that happen to guys, and I just hope it doesn't happen to Roenick because he was a phenomenal player. 50-50 back-to-back goal scoring seasons with the Hawks. He just never got that cup, but he's been in a final. With the Hawks in 91, they ran into the red hot Penguins, and I don't think anybody was beating those guys, but he's definitely a good 500 goal scorer, should be a guaranteed in the Hall of Fame, even 1,000 points. And I just feel like he's getting passed up.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I think Ron Santo got into the Hall of Fame the year after he died, like right afterwards, which is, if I was like a family member, I'd be like, what a spit in the face. Do you know what I mean?
It's like, you know what? You keep that, you keep that. If you knew that this guy should have been in and you waited till he died, that's just, come on, man. That's not right.
Right. Yeah, I 100% think that he should be in there. I think that he was, I think that he was a personality, and I think that he was somebody that you can go to the rink and see this guy play. I thought that he was electric. Even in his later years, he was he was an entertaining guy, and I think that's the points, and just kind of who he was in his era. He was a hard hitting center. I think he was standing at like 6 foot, 195 pounds, and he would bring the boom on guys, man. And I thought that he was a great player, great difference maker. And I think that it's a shame that he's not in the Hall of Fame, especially, you mentioned Paul Kariya. I was actually a Paul Kariya fan, but I don't think that he should have gotten to the Hall of Fame before Jeremy Roenick.
Or Marty St. Louis.
I like
Marty St. Louis. Yeah. Marty St. Louis, the thing about him is he got that Stanley Cup, and he was a huge part of that Stanley Cup.
Yeah, he was.
I just think Roenick is getting overlooked, man. Every single year, it's even the Sedins. Like they're the new class, and I'm like, really? The Sedins? Yes, they are very talented players.
Yeah.
Come on, they're not scoring 50 goals back to back. They're not doing that.
Right.
They never got it done either in the playoffs.
Yeah, they didn't. And I'll tip my hat to them. They were really good players for their era. I thought that they were consistent guys. They weren't on the, on the injury report very often. And they consistently played. And I thought that they were good players, and that's coming from a Hawks fan.
Just hated their team.
Yeah, hated their team. But
you have to. It was a rivalry.
You really got to tip your hat to both of them for excelling. And but still, Eric Lindros making it in before Roenick, man, that just doesn't sit right with me.
Even this, man, Denny Savard. Denny Savard has 900 points. I think he's like at just under 500 goals. He was a character. He was famous for his spinorama and being a little guy and being awesome. But come on, Roenick put up the numbers.
Yeah.
And Savard won a Stanley Cup, but he didn't play. He was injured.
He was hurt. Yeah.
I mean, I just don't get it. And I've seen podcasts where like guys like us asking Roenick, like, hey, how come you're not in the Hall of Fame? What do you think the reason is? And Roenick's like, I to be honest with you guys, I think it's because I'm American. That's what he said. And
wow.
And you look back, the last couple Hall of Famers are a lot of Canadians. Mike Modano was an American. And he's in. I think that...
How could they not put him in, though,
Well, that was Roenick's... listening to other pods, that was Roenick's, like, he said that's stick. Like measuring stick. Exactly. Yeah. He's like, I had to be better than this guy. He went first. I was like third. We both came up together. I wanted to be better than this guy. And you know what, man? He didn't get that cup, but he was right there in numbers with him.
Yeah. He was pretty close.
I think if he stayed with the Hawks for a majority of his career and didn't get traded to Phoenix, I think Roenick would have had even better numbers.
Him and Amani, absolutely.
That's his boy. They played at Thayer Academy in Mass, and then when Tony got traded from the Rangers, Roenick was a big part of that. He called Tony before the Rangers even let Tony know what was going on. He's like, hey, you're going to be a Hawk tomorrow. Stay close to your phone. We're holding number 10 for you. You're going to be number 10. He hung up the phone, and Tony was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? And sure enough, he gets the call, hey, you're going to Chicago. And those two would have been like Kane and Taves together.
Yeah.
They were the young guys that the next wave coming in, and Roenick would have had his speedy sniper, speedy playmaker. He could do it all. And Roenick could, be that two-way center. He could score 50. It would have been incredible, man. But, the Wirtz family was cheap with him, and down the dark path we went.
Yeah, man. I just practically getting ready to have nightmares. That's reliving that, as a kid.
That third grade for me, I remember sitting in the class, and my teacher, Mrs. Ofiara, her name was, she's like, hey, Matt, I'm really sorry about JR. And I was like, what are you talking about? What happened? Did he get hurt? He just got traded to the Phoenix Coyotes. And I was like, we need to cancel school right now. I was so upset. And then it just kept getting worse and kept getting worse and worse and worse. I'm like, this sucks. I was embarrassed to wear a Hawks jersey for a while.
Man, I was in seventh grade when it happened, man.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Just destroyed, Funny thing about the Sedins, it was they admitted that they would swap jerseys for games, and nobody knew about it, which is really funny, man. They said they would do it for games. I think they said they did it for an All-Star game once. And
wow.
They said that it was just like an inside joke to them,
Well, they are a bit different. You know, I think Daniel was more of the scorer. Henrik was more of the passer. So it would be weird. Like, Henrik got a hat trick tonight. Wow, that's probably Daniel. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's so funny, man, because Daniel's probably like, you know what? I need some assists, man. And Henrik's like, man, I need some fucking goals.
Yeah. Let's get these stats going. We need to get paid. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's so funny. But moving on. Central Division predictions 1 through 8. The 8 teams: Colorado, Minnesota, St. Louis, Dallas, Nashville, Winnipeg, Chicago, and Arizona. So I'll start with number one. I think it's pretty obvious, man. I'm going to go with Colorado. I don't see this team falling off too far from last year. Just an absolute powerhouse of a team. Or who knows? Maybe they come off to a slow start with a bit of a Stanley Cup hangover. But I see these guys coming out number one in the Central.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. The only thing that was weird to me is they let Darcy Kemper go.
Yeah.
And
I wonder
Joe
if there's
Sakic,
something going on in the background with him.
well, he probably said, hey, I just won a Stanley Cup. I want to get paid. And I think he ended up going to Washington, and he got paid pretty well.
Sure.
So I think Joe Sakic brought in the Ranger backup, Gorgiev.
Yeah.
So, and he's not bad. He's not a bad goalie.
No.
He's just never going to play behind Shesterkin. It's probably a good thing for him. And now he's got a pretty good team in front of him. So, yeah, I got them number 1, 2. Most of their guys are coming back, and they're going to be scary again.
So let me ask you, Kadri going to Calgary.
Oh, yeah.
I think that he was a big part of their success last year. How do you think that they fare without him?
Well, I think he wanted to get paid, and I don't think the Avalanche wanted to invest money into a 30-year-old for 7 years, and you might get 2-3 years out of him. I don't think he's going to ever put up a season like that again. But, yeah, he was a big part of that, kind of like that agitator second-line center guy that could put up big goals. Yeah, they're definitely going to miss him, but I still think they're too powerful up front. And next week we could talk about Kadri and the Flames, my opinion about that one is.
All right, cool. Moving on to number 2, I'm going to go with Minnesota.
Okay, what's your reason?
I think that Kaprizov is a bona fide star. I don't think that he's a one-season flash in the pan. He had an even better season his sophomore year. And I think that he's going to be coming in hot this year. He's not worrying about getting that deal coming into camp. He's got his money. I think that he's going to be coming in strong. And I think that Minnesota is going to be backing him up.
Well, I do like that Billy Guerin brought in Marc-Andre Fleury. I think that was very smart. They got a pretty good, solid Hall of Fame goalie to kind of carry him now, maybe steal you a couple games. But now that they're being penalized on these buyouts from Zach Parise and Gary Suter, Ryan Suter, I don't know if they're going to repeat that again. I do like Fleury helping them, but I just think that St. Louis is very pissed off from the playoffs last year against Colorado. I think they're going to come back on a mission, man. I know they got rid of Ville Husso, but I think Binnington's going to come back amped up, ready to go, very pissed off, big chip on his shoulder. And I think St. Louis is going to finish second.
Did Marc-Andre Fleury get 7 a year, or was it a 7-year for 2 years?
I forgot what I thought it was 6 for 2.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but yeah, it's a good signing. I just don't think they're going to have that. Yeah, I mean, you look at they only finished, I believe, 6 points behind Colorado. That's insane.
Right.
And Colorado is a powerhouse. Yeah. I just don't see that happening. I don't know what it is. I think they lost a couple guys, but I just, sometimes these teams, like, they have a good season and then they fall off, like the Islanders, they were so good. I think that they're just getting another year older, and, we'll see if Fleury works out with them, but I still got St. Louis finishing second.
It's hard to believe that Florida had 122 points last year and kind of just fell apart in the playoffs.
Yeah, they ran into Tampa.
Yeah.
So we'll see about them guys.
All right, moving on. I've got St. Louis in number 3. What do you think, Matt?
So we're just pretty much flopping these guys because I got Minnesota third.
Oh, okay.
So St. Louis.
Oh wait, who do you have? Who did you have number 2?
I have St. Louis. We got
okay,
two little. I'm gonna write these down so we can talk about this.
Okay.
In the future, like, hey, our predictions and stuff. But definitely, like I said, I think St. Louis, they're very good. They're built very well. It's kind of weird with the whole Tarasenko thing last year. He wanted to get traded. He ended up staying the whole year. He had a very, very good year.
Yeah.
But I think Binnington, they had Ville Husso coming up, and I believe he went to the Red Wings. Stevie Y brought him in, and that it's hard for a goalie when we've seen it with Huey and stuff. Like Niemi came up and pretty much just kind of took his net, and it probably pissed Binnington off. And I thought Binnington was really good against the Avalanche, and he got rammed by Kadri, and he was out for the season, the rest of the playoff season. But I think they're going to come back strong, and I got them finishing second, and then I got the Wild finishing third.
Okay. Interesting. Number 4, I've got Dallas. I think that they're going to surprise a couple people this year. I think Sagan will have a good year this year.
Yeah, I think Dallas is right there. They could even compete for that third spot with Minnesota. And if they end up getting Patrick Kane, like there's a lot of rumors that Jim Nill is actually calling Davidson a lot about acquiring Patrick Kane. I think if they acquired Kane, I would move them to the third spot easy. Yeah. But for right now, I got them in 4th, maybe making the wild card.
Okay. I've got Nashville at number 5, and actually I've got Nashville and Dallas kind of going back and forth with each other. Nashville is one of those teams that can,
sneaky.
Yeah, they're really sneaky, and they can really make things hard for you trying to make it into the playoffs. So I've got Nashville and Dallas battling it out for that fourth spot right there.
For some reason, I think Nashville's going to fall a little bit, and I think Winnipeg might surprise a lot of people. They brought in Rick Bowness, a new coach, kind of a new leader. And Nashville, to me, man, I think they're just burning this poor goalie out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're relying on him too much. He needs help. And I know they re-signed Forsberg. He's their stud and everything, but he's just only one guy.
Right.
Matt Duchene is not going to have a good season again like he did. And I believe, what's the other guy? Ryan Johansson. He's not going to have they're just getting older, those two guys, and they're getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
I just think they're going to fall a little bit, maybe one spot down. And I think Connor Hellebuck is going to be better for the Jets. I think the Jets will finish behind the Stars.
I think I'm going to have to change that up a little bit. I think that Winnipeg, Nashville, and Dallas are going to be competing for that number 4 spot.
I think Nashville might even finish below, like out of the 3. I could see Nashville finishing the lowest.
Sure. I think Kyle Connor is going to have another good year. I think that he's probably one of the most underrated guys in the league. I think he was voted. Yeah, I think he was voted the most underrated player. 40 goals, 40 assists. Yeah, he had a great season. Flew completely under the radar.
Yeah, he's a good player, and that's why they let Patrick Laine go, because they saw more in this guy, and that was the right move.
Yeah, and that's kind of incredible because of how high Laine was drafted, and he had a lot of hype behind him too.
Yep. Yeah, he had a great rookie season. I think he was right behind Matthews, man, in goals.
Yeah.
Right behind him.
Yeah, he was. But that didn't last long.
No.
Number 7, I've got my beloved Blackhawks at the number 7 spot. I don't think that they're quite as bad as Arizona, but I think that they're going to solely hold that number 7 spot. Unless Nashville completely tanks.
Well, watching these Connor Bedard videos, I could see Nashville just say, "Hey, let's tank. Let's get this guy."
Yeah,
I mean,
and we'll let him flounder out there.
I think the Hawks will finish 7th too. I think they'll finish last in the Central, but I think it's going to be closer than we think.
Right.
But you almost want to have a worse season to get a better chance, I guess. But I could see, like the bottom, I think, what does it go by? The bottom 5 teams get the bigger ball in the lottery or whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
It's probably going to be the Hawks, Arizona, Seattle, maybe Montreal, and
maybe San Jose.
Maybe Philly. It could be Philly, even Jersey. Everyone's waiting for Jersey to break out, but I don't see it. But
honestly,
you're right. San Jose.
Montreal could be down there, you know?
I think they will be for sure. And we're going to learn a lot with this. If it goes to AZ, what a waste of talent that kid is going to be stuck there for at least 6 years.
Yeah.
It is going to be a joke. Can you imagine being like one of the next guys coming up, playing at a college? You don't even have your own building. And for the Coyotes, that would just be such a waste.
What
I
if
don't
he
think
says,
the
I'm not going to
NHL
play?
would let it happen.
She was like, fuck that. I'm not going to play.
I don't think he would, because there's not too many hockey players that have done that. I think
but
Eric Lindros is one of them.
Yeah, he was. But could anybody blame him?
No, I wouldn't blame him at all. Listen, if I get drafted number 1 overall, I am the best prospect in the world. I do not want to play in front of a high school crowd.
Yeah.
I want to play in front of 30,000, 40,000 people, even Montreal, Chicago. At this point, I'd rather play in Seattle. At least Seattle, they have their own building.
Yeah.
You know, they got it all figured out.
They got a fan base too, because they got a fan base that supports them.
They just drafted a kid that got overlooked, you know, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. I forget who it was, but he was supposed to go number 1, and he dropped to like 6th, and he was very pissed off.
That's
I think
right.
it was was it Shane White or something? I could be wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He gave the Montreal Canadiens table a dirty look. You know, like he thought he was number 1. He's like, I'm clearly the best guy here. He walks by and just gives him the stare as he's putting on the Seattle jersey.
Yeah, Shane Wright.
Right. Oh, yeah, it was close.
Yeah, at the same time, you know, it's like, come on, dude. You know,
Yeah,
honestly, I'd rather go to Seattle than Montreal.
That probably had to be the hardest, like, prospect ranking, draft ranking. Like, some of these guys didn't even play any games.
Yeah.
You know, they played maybe a couple tournaments here and there. I mean, that was hard. And Montreal did their homework. They saw a guy they wanted and they grabbed him.
It's probably more of an ego thing for them, you know.
Yeah, it's like when you hear like you're going one for the whole season, and you go like 4 or 5 or maybe even 6, was it? But
not even in the top 3. And actually,
he might have been embarrassed.
That probably messes with his earning potential as well for his contract.
Yeah, that happened to Cam Fowler a couple years ago. Remember when he was supposed to go number 1 and he ended up going like 7 or 8, and the Ducks drafted him, and it's worked out for him. He's been pretty good with that team.
Right.
But you know, I had to hear all of us heard Cam Fowler, he's the next good defenseman, and everyone, we don't see the hype in him. They let him go. So,
yeah, he was good, man. But I mean,
he's still pretty decent.
Yeah,
you know, he's getting older, and he's wasting years. You know, in Anaheim, they're kind of figuring it out now. I think they'll take a step up this year, but that's just another year older for him. It's got to be what, in his 30s now, at least 30, maybe late 20s.
Yeah. Well, cool, man.
So we both got Phoenix last.
Yeah.
They're always the Phoenix Coyotes to me. I'm not calling them AZ, but yeah, I got them last too. I think they got all their draft picks. I think they had 5 first-round picks last year.
Yeah, it gets to a point where it's like maybe there needs like some kind of outside intervention, similar to like Edmonton. I mean, it took them getting like one of the top generational players practically maybe of all time to come in to turn that. Well, actually, maybe 2 of them to come in and turn that team around. Because after a while, dude, I mean, it's like how many first number 1 draft picks can this team get? What about the rest of the league? You know,
I know. Well, look at how long it took the Hawks to get a first round pick with Kane. It took forever. And I'm not a fan of this lottery thing. I think if you finish last, I get what they're doing. They don't want you to tank on purpose, but the NHL is cheering for Montreal and the Hawks to probably get that first round pick. Yeah. They want this kid in a big market selling jerseys, filling the stands. And I mean, if I'm like the NHL, I'm like, hey, listen, if the Hawks and the Canadiens finish last, you make that ball bigger. You know, you pull the Canadiens or you pull the Blackhawks, because these two being at the bottom of the league, big market, they can't be bad for this long. It can't happen.
No. And even Montreal and Chicago at the bottom of the league, they're selling more tickets and there's more people watching those games than some of these other top tier teams.
Yeah, and Chicago, we're going to really learn a lot this year with the Hawks. We're going to see which fans are still supporting the team, which fans are like, oh, screw this sucks. And you know what? It's going to suck. It's going to suck. But they are we're going to learn a lot, cuz that the dark days when a lot of people didn't go. I know you went to a couple. I went to a lot, and it was like 5,000 people, maybe 8,000 on a weekend.
Dude, I was in the Army at the time, and I still followed the team on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of invest your time in, and you want to see, like, hey, we're going to get a good draft pick. Let's see how this guy turns out. It ends up being Troy Brower. It's like, oh, this guy's nothing. Dave Bolin from the London Knights. Yeah, he's good, but he's not that. He's just a piece, you know. He's not the main. He's not the main pillar. But then you start getting Kane. You get Taves first. He's like, I'm going to go back to college. It's like, God damn it, we got to wait for this kid.
Sure.
And then they draft Kane, and they're both ready to go. It's like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. Then you start filling in the pieces. It was awesome.
I was like, man, this Kane kid's going to be pretty good.
You know, it was worth the wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember his first game, man. I went to the home opener.
Small.
Oh, he was tiny. He had like, the only hair on his face was his eyebrows, you know. he was playing against his freaking hero, Dominic Hasek, in the shootout. The beautiful backhand. I'm like, oh, dude, this kid's gonna be awesome. It was, and I just remember Chelios giving him hacks and stuff. I'm like, fuck this guy, man. I'm so tired of this fucking old dinosaur. Get him out of here. You know?
He's probably, he's an American kid, you know. He's probably just trying to give him a hard time.
Welcome to the NHL, bud. Boom, you know. Yeah, but it was worth it, man. You invest all your time into him, and Dale Talon was picking really good guys, bringing in some good pieces. He brought in John Madden. He brought in the UA signing. I didn't understand.
Yeah,
but you know, he was a decent backup. And the Emmy would end up stealing the net, and 2010 was awesome, man. It was great.
Well, everybody, I gotta let you guys know. Check out Liquid IV. We've got a link for you guys. Chicago Tomahawk. Put that in. You get 15% off of your order, and it's unlimited. I'm gonna leave a link for it inside of the show notes. I use it for when I run. Matt's gonna be using it for when he works outside in like the blistering heat. Try to keep yourself. Keep yourself hydrated, man. You know, it's so important for you. Even in the wintertime, you know, a lot of times it's hard to stay hydrated, you know, drinking the same amount of water. Drinking one packet is the equivalent of 3 glasses of water. And I swear by this stuff, it works, man. So do us a favor. If you guys are looking to order some, it's in the use Chicago Tomahawk for your code. You get 15% off your order. All right. That's all that we got for you tonight. What are we going to do next on the next podcast, Matt?
Well, let's jump over to the Pacific. We're in the West. We'll finish out West. We'll make a long road trip the next week, then to the East.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Pacific next week, guys. Check us out. I'm not sure if we're going to do a Twitter space, but if you want, we'll send a link out on Twitter. Keep an eye out for it. And that's all that we got for you. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.